Giving rice but not firewood, lending clothes but not shoes. Giving rice stems from the belief that one cannot practice virtue on an empty stomach, and offering rice to the hungry is also a way to accumulate virtue for oneself. That's why most people won't refuse. But firewood is everywhere. If one is willing to work hard, there will never be a shortage. The ancients taught, help in emergencies, not in poverty, meaning we should assist those facing temporary hardship, helping them through their crises, but not support those who remain poor without change. Because they only rely on aid without working hard. They're lazy, careless, and dependent. They lean on us but have no drive or determination to move forward in life. We don't borrow shoes, and we don't lend them either, because everyone has different foot sizes, and it's hard to find a pair that fits just right. Life's path is the same way. No two people walk the same road. My path led to success, but following it doesn't guarantee you'll succeed too, because each person has a different worldview and strength. That's why you have to rely on your own uniqueness and willpower to find the path that suits you best. Second, training fighting roosters. Zhuangzi once told a story about training fighting roosters. Ji Changzi raised roosters for the great king. The great king was clearly very fond of cockfighting and hoped Ji Changzi could train an exceptional rooster that would be ready to fight soon. After 10 days had passed, the great king asked Ji Changzi, "Is my rooster ready to fight yet?" Ji Changzi replied, "Not yet. This rooster still relies on its strength and power, always trying to intimidate others. Its wings spread wide, its eyes flash like lightning, and it acts extremely arrogant. Ordinary people might think a fighting rooster like this is ideal for battle." However, those who truly understand how to train fighting roosters would say that this is basically not acceptable. After another 10 days passed, the great king asked Ji Changzi about the rooster again. Ji Changzi replied, "Still not ready. Although its aggressive energy has started to decline, it still reacts immediately and wants to fight whenever another rooster makes the move, so it's still not ready yet." After another 10 days passed, the great king asked again, and Ji Changzi still replied, "Still not ready." Although it no longer reacts as strongly to outside things as before, there is still a look of resentment in its eyes. We need to wait a bit longer. Another 10 days went by, and the great king asked Ji Changzi. Ji Changzi said, "Now it's more or less ready. Even if the other roosters make noise or try to provoke it, it no longer pays them any attention." What does it look like now? It looks exactly like what folks often say, dumb as a wooden rooster. Ji Changzi said, this rooster has now been trained to the point of becoming like a wooden rooster. Its spirit has turned inward and its character has reached the highest level. It looks within itself. So now it just stands there, and any other rooster that looks at it will instantly feel unsettled and run away. Now is the right time to bring it into the ring. Normally, we think a fighting rooster should be like a brave warrior, like a battle drum, full of fierce energy, an unyielding fighting spirit, and a determination to win, even if it means death. However, Zhuangzi shows us a higher level. It is a state where all the outer layers of arrogance are stripped away, and every bit of sharp energy is turned inward. This doesn't mean there is no fighting spirit, but that the will must turn inward. People need to look within themselves. Only then can one reach the state of complete virtue, the highest level of a true warrior, achieving victory not through skill or strength, but through character. Third, sharp-bladed grass. There is no shortcut to success that doesn't go through hard training. Anyone who wants to achieve something must put in a great deal of effort, fail countless times, and through that, accumulate valuable experience that paves the way for the future. At a concert, a musician captivated the audience with his outstanding performance skills. After the concert ended, a music critic approached him, offering praise and calling the musician a rare genius of the century. The musician replied, "Everyone wants to use the word genius when they see my successful performances, but they don't realize how hard a so-called genius has to work to earn that reputation." The law of the sharp-bladed grass. On the African plains, there's a plant known as sharp-bladed grass. It's also called the king of the savanna, but its growth process is very different from that of ordinary plants. In the first 6 months, sharp-bladed grass is almost the shortest among all grasses. When spring arrives, other grasses start to grow rapidly, but sharp-bladed grass only reaches about a hand's length, looking weak and pitiful. It's hard to even notice any signs of growth. But after half a year, when the rainy season comes, the rainwater seems to magically awaken them, and they suddenly shoot up all at once. Each day, it grows rapidly, and in just a few days, sharp-bladed grass can reach over 2 meters tall, forming a solid wall of grass. Why can sharp-bladed grass grow so fast? It's because during the previous half year, while other plants were busy growing upward, sharp-bladed grass was taking a different path. It kept driving its roots deeper into the ground. Each day, it grows rapidly, and in just a few days, sharp-bladed grass can reach over 2 meters tall, forming a solid wall of grass. Why can sharp-bladed grass grow so fast? It's because during the previous half year, while other plants were busy growing upward, sharp-bladed grass was taking a different path. It kept driving its roots deeper into the ground. Finally, when a heavy rain arrives, sharp-bladed grass focuses on growing from within. While other grasses sway and attract attention, sharp-bladed grass remains unaffected, with no desire to compete with others. It simply concentrates on building itself up and growing steadily. Then, when the downpour hits, sharp-bladed grass finally unleashes the strength it has long stored up, standing tall against the storm, growing against the trend, and in the blink of an eye, creating a breathtaking scene. For most people, they only see how quickly sharp-bladed grass grows in a short period of time, without knowing how deeply its roots had to anchor into the ground, or how it manages to grow rapidly while withstanding the damage from storms. In fact, the story of the brilliant musician and the sharp-bladed grass both remind us that the success and miracles everyone admires all come from one's own hard work. We don't need to worry about why our efforts aren't immediately rewarded, because every bit of hard work is gradually being stored up for the future. The biggest difference between success and failure doesn't lie in IQ or ability, but in endurance and perseverance. The great writer Tagore once said, "The light is right in front of you. As long as you can endure the pain and walk through the layers of darkness, your burden will become a gift and your suffering will light the way for you." May those who are chasing their dreams, no matter what pain life throws their way, learn to turn that pain into a guiding light for the future, lighting the path ahead for themselves. Fourth, are you okay? In dealing with others, just one simple phrase can make someone feel warm and comforted, or, on the flip side, it can cause someone to hold a lifelong grudge. I am a teacher. In my role as an educator, I often advise the parents of my students that if a child accidentally breaks a bowl or damages something, the first thing a parent should say is, "Are you okay?" Caring for and loving our children should always come before our concern for any object. After all, a broken bowl can be replaced, but constant scolding or punishment can damage the emotional bond. Just like shattered glass, no matter how you try to piece it back together, the cracks will never fully disappear. In Taiwan's education curriculum before the year 1990, there were lessons focused on self-cultivation, character development, and moral education. Back then, textbooks often used stories about Liu Quan, a magistrate during the Eastern Han Dynasty, as teaching material. There is a story that once Liu Quan was dressed neatly and preparing to attend court when a servant brought him a bowl of soup but accidentally spilled it, staining Liu Quan's ceremonial robes. However, contrary to what the servant feared, that he would be punished, Liu Quan's expression remained calm as he gently asked, "Did the soup burn you?" Liu Quan was truly a model of tolerance and generosity. It can be said that caring for others will always be the first lesson in how to be a decent person. On another occasion, Liu Quan was out riding in his ox cart when a man who had lost his ox insisted that Liu Quan's ox was his. Without saying a word, Liu Quan immediately got off the cart, handed the ox over to the man, and walked home. Not long after, the man who had lost his ox found his own and hurried to Liu Quan's residence to return the ox and beg for forgiveness. Liu Quan immediately helped him up and said, "Oxen generally look quite similar, so it's understandable to make a mistake. Besides, you weren't afraid of the trouble and came all this way to return it. This is a good deed. There's no need to apologize." Liu Quan was truly a model of virtue, someone who genuinely commanded deep respect. I still clearly remember the beginning of the year 1980 when I taught my first table tennis class. I was in charge of blocking while the students took turns attacking. When it was the turn of a student named Ka, he swung his arm to smash the ball, but because he didn't grip the paddle tightly, it flew out of his hand and struck me right in the middle of the forehead, causing my glasses to fall and shatter on the ground. At that moment, I saw the student standing frozen, his face pale. I immediately walked over to him, patted his shoulder, and said, "It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of." I bent down to pick up my broken glasses. The frames were snapped and the lenses shattered, and told the class, "Let's keep practicing." To be honest, I still don't understand how I was able to handle the situation with such calmness and generosity. I don't see myself as someone naturally like that, but there's no denying that the historical stories of Master Liu Quan truly changed me. As a teacher, when you speak of morals and principles to your students, those very principles naturally take root deep within your own heart, helping you to restrain your own impulses. That is truly a wonderful thing. When friends are together, caring for one another must always come before money. As parents, loving your children must far outweigh any concern for broken belongings. This is the essence of humanism, a guiding principle for how we should live. 5. Wanting to be muddle-headed is truly difficult. "It is hard to be muddle-headed" is a well-known saying by Zhang Banqiao, a calligrapher and painter of the Qing dynasty. The author once annotated the phrase, "It is hard to be muddle-headed," by saying, "It is hard to be wise, it is hard to be muddle-headed, and it is even harder to go from wisdom to muddle-headedness." Letting go, taking a step back, brings peace of mind, and one should not expect anything in return. Someone once said that life has two aspects: being clear-minded in work and muddle-headed in dealing with people. Being muddle-headed is a mindset and also a form of cultivation. In the eyes of Confucius, being muddle-headed is the way of the mean. In the eyes of the elderly, being muddle-headed is non-action. In the view of Zhuangzi, muddle-headedness is freedom and ease. Many things in life are better left unknown, without cleverness and without overanalyzing. In truth, life itself is inherently muddled. Joy and happiness are hidden within this state of muddle. Once awakened, all that joy and happiness will vanish like smoke in the wind. As we live in this world, sometimes we just need to go through life a little muddle-headed, turning a blind eye to certain things. That way, we forgive ourselves, and we also forgive others. People who are constantly calculating usually don't live happily. Be muddle-headed with friends, and the bond will last without scheming. Be muddle-headed with your partner, and the two of you will have space to breathe. Be muddle-headed with money and profit, and you won't feel pain or anger. Be muddle-headed with human emotions, and your conscience will feel no guilt. Be muddle-headed with baseless rumors, and your ears will know no fatigue. One must walk the road of life with a bit of muddle-headedness, live joyfully, and find happiness in contentment. The sound of dripping water. One day, a father accidentally lost his wristwatch. Frustrated, he searched everywhere, rummaging through the room, but no matter how hard he looked, he couldn't find it. After he stepped outside, his child quietly entered the room and found the watch within moments. The father asked, "How did you find it?" The child replied, "I just sat quietly, and after a while, I could hear a faint ticking sound, so I found it." Realization. The more anxious we are in searching, the less likely we are to find what we seek. Only by calming down can we hear the voice deep within our hearts. The old man who lost his horse. Near the border, there was an old man who raised horses. One day, the old man's prized horse wandered north and didn't return. Neighbors came by to express their sympathy, but the old man remained calm and showed no sign of sorrow. He said, "Losing a horse, who's to say it's not a blessing in disguise?" A few days later, the horse suddenly came back, and not only that, it brought along several fine horses. Everyone was astonished. They came to the old man's home to offer congratulations, saying, "Truly, there's fortune hidden in misfortune." "Congratulations! Not only did you not lose your horse, but you even gained a few more," they said. Everyone expected the old man to be overjoyed, but to their surprise, he simply replied, "Gaining more horses. Who's to say it won't bring misfortune?" The neighbors didn't quite understand, but said nothing more and went back to their homes. The old man's son, enchanted by the beautiful horses, decided to learn how to ride. In the end, he had an accident and broke his leg. When people heard the news, they rushed over to offer comfort and check in on him. Just like before, the old man didn't seem concerned and simply said, "Who's to say this won't turn out to be a blessing?" Later on, the imperial court issued a decree requiring all able-bodied young men in the village to join the army and fight in the war, with punishment for those who resisted. Because the old man's son had a broken leg, he was exempted. It was only then that the families whose sons had gone off to war realized how fortunate the old man truly was. In short, everything in this world is a mix of blessings and misfortunes. So live in harmony with nature and don't get too caught up in gains and losses. Let things follow their natural course. Do your best and give it your all without becoming fixated on the outcome. Success or failure is just a matter of fate. Sometimes the real joy comes from the journey itself, not the result. Don't let success or failure, gain or loss stir you too much or weigh you down. 8. The eagle that plucked its own feathers. There were 2 eagles. One flew very fast, while the other flew very slowly. The slow-flying eagle felt deeply envious and tried every way it could to bring the other down. But in the end, it couldn't make the fast-flying eagle lose a single feather and ended up bringing disaster upon itself. The slow-flying eagle was jealous of the fast one, so one day it said to a hunter, "Up ahead is a fast-flying eagle. Use your arrow to shoot it down." The hunter said, "Maybe, but my arrow is missing a feather. Could you pluck one of yours for me?" The eagle replied, "Sure, as long as you can shoot it down. One feather means nothing." Then it plucked a feather from its own wing and generously handed it to the hunter. The hunter notched the arrow, aimed at the fast-flying eagle, and let it go. But the eagle had flown too high, and the arrow missed its mark. The hunter turned to the slow-flying eagle and said, "How about plucking another feather for me?" The eagle replied, "All right," and immediately pulled out another feather for the hunter. But this time, the shot missed again. And so it went. Each arrow fired meant another feather plucked, one after another, until the slow-flying eagle had lost all its feathers, yet the swift eagle was never hit. The slow-flying eagle had now lost all its feathers, leaving its body bare and unable to fly. The hunter smiled and said to the eagle, "Here is an eagle that can't fly. Why should I waste my energy trying to shoot the one in the sky?" Then he captured the featherless eagle. From this story, 2 lessons emerge. Those who try to harm others often end up harming themselves. Some people dig a hole for others only to find it becomes their own grave. There is a verse that says, "He dug a hole, dug it deep, but fell into the hole he made." What made the eagle pluck out its own feathers? It was envy, the kind that couldn't stand seeing another eagle fly higher and faster. All disasters stem from envy. Think about it. Who would feel angry or upset when their own siblings excel? Isn't that the work of a demonic heart? When we give in to anger, we're doing exactly what the devil wants. The higher you fly, the safer you are. Take the eagle that was targeted. Why wasn't it brought down? Because it flew high. The higher a person flies, the less they fear being harmed by others. The higher they soar, the less trouble they face. Flying high is safety. Therefore, if you want to overcome adversity and become untouchable to those who might try to bring you down, work hard to rise above. 9. Your friend's wife should not be looked at. Your friend's husband should not be touched. Your friend's wife should not be looked at. Your friend's husband should not be touched is a proverb passed down by our ancestors to remind future generations that whether you're married or not, you should never covet or become overly close with someone else's spouse. One must always be mindful of proper conduct and maintain appropriate boundaries. This is a fundamental principle of moral integrity. In Chapter 80 of Journey to the West, it is told that in order for the monk Tongzhang and his disciples to pass through the flaming mountain, they needed to borrow the banana leaf fan from Princess Iron Fan, the wife of the Bull Demon King. Upon hearing this, Sun Wukong thought it would be an easy task since he and the Bull Demon King were sworn brothers. Wukong confidently went to see his sister-in-law to borrow the fan. But unexpectedly, the Bull Demon King, unaware of the full story, scolded Sun Wukong harshly. "Earlier, you tricked my wife into lending you the fan. She refused and came to me about it, and now you still want to chase after her? As the saying goes, don't take advantage of your friend's wife. Since then, the Bull Demon King's final words have spread widely and become well known. However, there is a second half to this saying that few people know. A friend's wife must not be wronged or coveted. This saying is directed at men. It means not only should one never bully or deceive a friend's wife, but the word wronged also implies taking what is not yours. Put simply, when it comes to someone else's wife or concubine, you must not even entertain the thought. This is a principle that has been passed down through generations. Because everyone has close friends throughout their life, the greatest taboo is becoming too familiar with a friend's wife. If there are overly intimate gestures or ambiguous behavior between you and your friend's wife, it will not only provoke gossip from others, but also damage your own friendship and potentially even harm your friend's marriage. There was a story from the Song dynasty about Liu Ji and Zhang Zheng, who were very close like brothers. Later, Liu Ji married a young woman named Huang Mai. Zhang Zheng continued his habit of visiting Liu Ji's home and often stayed for meals. Over time, he began to develop good feelings toward Huang Mai, seeing her as a woman of great virtue. Liu Ji also noticed this in his friend, but it was difficult for him to put into words. One day, Liu Ji and his wife invited Zhang Zheng to a tavern for a meal. While they were dining, the server accidentally spilled soup onto Zhang Zheng's clothes. Liu Ji took the opportunity to say, "He didn't mean to do that. The bowl was too full, so let's forgive him." After returning home, Zhang Zheng, feeling ashamed, realized his mistake and from that moment on stopped admiring Huang Mai. As society continues to develop, human morality has declined, and many people no longer value this way of thinking. Today, the saying, "a friend's wife must not be disrespected," has turned into "no need to be polite with a friend's wife," which is why there are so many cases of brothers stealing each other's wives. In truth, the proverb, "a friend's wife must not be disrespected," is a warning that we must firmly control our inner desires, never violate our own moral standards, and never bully or take a friend's wife. You must not touch your friend's husband. A friend's wife must not be disrespected actually has a second half that few people know. A friend's husband must not be touched. Similar to the meaning of the first part, this line is directed at women. It means that women should also maintain a respectful distance from their friends' husbands. The ancients used to say, men and women should not have physical contact, and this refers not only to physical touch, but also to boundaries in relationships between men and women. The ancients said that show means to hand over, and anything exchanged between a man and a woman should not be passed directly, but must go through a third party. Confucian etiquette emphasized that men and women should generally avoid close physical contact, and strictly stated that a woman must not have any ambiguous relationship with any man other than her husband. But nowadays, many women not only deliberately fall in love with their friends' husbands, but also use every possible means to take them away. There is a television drama called Love Is Not Wrong, The Fault Is in the Best Friend, which tells the story of two girls who were once close friends but eventually became bitter enemies because of a man. The plot is heartbreaking, yet in today's world, such things happen all the time, even right around us. Some people even seem to see themselves reflected in this drama. That's why someone once said, "At first, I didn't understand the meaning of the show, but as I kept watching, I realized I had become one of the characters." Throughout history, the third party has always been condemned. If someone is already married, they should not admire someone else's spouse, but instead focus on the strengths of their own partner. For those who are single, they should not develop feelings for someone else's husband. Instead, they should seek a true love that belongs to no one else. In reality, whether you are a man or a woman, you must always maintain proper boundaries when interacting with the opposite sex. 10. A wise person does not show off 4 things. During the Qing dynasty, Zhang Chao wrote in Shadow of Dreams that Journey to the West is a book of enlightenment. It seems to tell the story of Tang Sanzong's journey to the West to retrieve the scriptures and the demons he encounters along the way, but in reality, it is portraying the essence of human life. In the book, each character and every trial carries wisdom about how to navigate relationships and the world. After reading Journey to the West, we come to understand that those on a higher level never show off these 4 things. Do not flaunt wealth. When Tang Sanzong and his disciples passed by the Guanyin Temple, they were warmly received by Elder Jinqi of the monastery. Seeing that Tang Sanzong carried himself with great dignity and came from a prosperous and wealthy nation, Elder Jinqi assumed he must be carrying rare and valuable treasures. But Tang Sanzong was a humble man. He not only had no treasures to show, but even if he had, he would never flaunt them. But Sun Wukong was different. That monkey not only liked to show off, but also enjoyed stirring up trouble. When Wukong saw Elder Jinqi boasting arrogantly, he couldn't help but feel angry. So he urged Tang Sanzong to take out the magnificent kasaya bestowed by the Buddha. Hearing this, Tang Sanzong quickly shook his head and said, "My disciple, do not compete with others over wealth or status. You and I have no relatives around here. I'm afraid this could lead to trouble." Tang Sanzong's words of caution went in one ear and out the other for Wukong, who was determined to show off the kasaya in front of Elder Jinqi. As a result, Jinqi's greed was stirred, and he schemed to seize the treasure by any means, even going so far as to summon a black bear demon, bringing about needless chaos. Zheng Guangxian 1, there is a saying, "A guest should not part from his belongings, and wealth should not be exposed." Flaunting riches does nothing but stir up envy and desire in others. A person with a rich inner life has no need to boast or show off their abilities. A similar story is also recorded in A New Account of the Tales of the World. During the Western Jin dynasty, there was a wealthy man named Shi Chong. His greatest hobby was showing off his wealth in extravagant ways. Once, Shi Chong competed with the emperor's brother-in-law, Wang Kai, to see who was richer. Wang Kai ordered his servants to wash pots and dishes with sugar water, while Shi Chong told his servants to use candles instead of firewood to fuel the stove for cooking rice. Wang Kai used red lacquer made from stone resin to paint his walls, while Shi Chong's household used precious Sichuan peppercorns to decorate theirs. Shi Chong had immense financial power and always outshined Wang Kai by a notch. Although he won this round of flaunting wealth, he also caught the attention of those with malicious intentions. Later, when Prince Zhao Sima Lun held power in the court, Sun Hu, a close aide of the prince who had long coveted Shi Chong's wealth, falsely accused him of plotting rebellion. In the end, Shi Chong's entire family was beheaded, and his fortune was seized by Sun Hu, leading to a tragic downfall. He lost both his life and his wealth. Someone once said that foolishness and wealth together are a recipe for self-destruction. To satisfy a fleeting sense of vanity by flaunting one's riches is the greatest kind of foolishness. Boasting about wealth does not earn genuine respect from others. It only exposes the spiritual emptiness of a person. Do not flaunt your abilities. From the moment Sun Wukong became a disciple of Patriarch Bodhi, he diligently devoted himself to mastering skills. Before long, he had learned the cloud somersault and the 72 transformations. One day, while practicing alone, his fellow disciples came rushing over, urging him to show off his powers for everyone to see. Being someone who loved to stir things up, Wukong immediately rode the clouds, summoned the wind, and displayed countless transformations right in front of the crowd. After finding out, Patriarch Bodhi scolded Wukong. "Why are you showing off your skills? If you see someone has something, wouldn't you want it too? And if others see you have something, of course they'll want it just like you. If you're afraid of trouble, then you'll have to teach them. But if you won't teach them, they'll harm you, and even your life won't be safe." Faced with his master's rebuke, Wukong kept apologizing, but he never truly learned his lesson. Later, during the havoc in heaven, Sun Wukong once again showed off his powers in front of the Tathagata, not realizing that there is always a higher mountain. In the end, he brought harm upon himself and was crushed beneath the 5 Elements mountain. Tai Gon Tan says, "An eagle stands as if asleep, a tiger walks as if sick. This is their tactic to strike and bite. Therefore, a gentleman, though intelligent, does not flaunt his talent, so that in the future he may have the strength to shoulder great responsibilities." Truly powerful individuals never show themselves. They quietly accumulate strength. No matter how exceptional a person may be, they must learn to assess the situation and humbly keep their abilities hidden. During the Warring States period, King Wu of Qin, the ruler of the Qin state, was unmatched in courage and possessed great ambition, both a man of letters and arms. Under his rule, Qin continually held the Chu state in check and launched attacks that leveled the Shu state, significantly boosting the nation's power. But such a wise ruler lost his life simply because he showed off his strength. One time, King Wu of Qin and his subordinate, the bodyguard Meng Yu, were in the palace of the king of Zhou in Luoyang, competing to lift a bronze cauldron. Wanting to prove his might, King Wu ignored all warnings and, without considering his own physical limits, recklessly attempted to lift the cauldron. As a result, he collapsed from exhaustion, his eyes bled, the bones in his legs broke, and by nightfall, he passed away, at only 23 years old. That was the prime age to pursue the ambitions of a lifetime. The Book of Changes says, "A gentleman conceals his talents and waits for the right time to use them." Having great ability is something to be proud of, but if you flaunt it without restraint in front of others, it can bring about disaster. Do not expose your flaws, and do not boast about your talents. When you show off your abilities in front of others, that is also the moment your character loses its value. 3. Do not flaunt your intelligence. The most intelligent among the disciples is Sha Wujing. He gives the impression of being kind and honest, but in reality, Wujing is very thoughtful and deeply understands how to deal with people. Wujing simply understood the importance of humility and never showed off his intelligence in front of others. As they learned through their journey, he only spoke up at critical moments. In the chapter, The 3 Attacks on the White Bone Demon, when Tong Sanzong harshly punished Sun Wukong, Sha Wujing did not utter a single word to plead for mercy. When Sun Wukong was banished, Wujing didn't say a single word to stop it. He stayed out of the matter entirely, always maintaining a dignified attitude. Later, during the battle against the Yellow Robe Demon, Sha Wujing was captured. Zhu Baji, left with no other choice, had to swallow his pride and ask Sun Wukong for help. When Sun Wukong reproached him, saying, "Wu Jing, why didn't you plead for me back then?" Sha Wu Jing didn't offer much explanation. He simply replied with 6 calm words, "A gentleman does not dwell on the past." In just that short sentence, he both flattered Sun Wukong and subtly expressed his own regret. And just like that, the tension between the two was easily resolved. It was precisely because Sha Wu Jing had the ability to assess the situation and handle things well without seeking the spotlight that he always earned Tong Sanzong's trust and affection. Vegetable Roots Discourse says, "Hide your skill in clumsiness. Use darkness with clarity. Conceal brightness in chaos. Take the curved path as the straight one." The wiser a person is, the more they know how to conceal their intelligence. If someone constantly reveals how clever they are, they will end up accomplishing nothing. As the saying goes, a talented person may appear dull, and the slow-looking one runs off carrying the big jar. Truly intelligent people are often those who know how to play dumb at the right moment. 4. Do not boast about your achievements. When Sun Wukong wreaked havoc in heaven, 100,000 celestial soldiers could not defeat him. Later, Guanyin Bodhisattva recommended Erlong-Shen to the Jade Emperor. Erlong-Shen lived up to everyone's expectations and, with the help of the Supreme Elder Lord, successfully captured Sun Wukong. Because of this, he earned the respect of the Jade Emperor. However, when the Jade Emperor issued a decree to commend his achievement, Erlong-Shen remained calm and showed no sign of arrogance. Instead, he credited Guanyin Bodhisattva and the Supreme Elder Lord. When rewarded, he shared everything with his subordinates. After expressing his gratitude to the Jade Emperor, he quietly returned to Guanzhong Pass to live in seclusion. Zheng Guofan said, "When trouble comes, take it upon yourself. When merit is achieved, let others enjoy it. That is the foundation of a lasting career." One must learn to share credit and take the lead in facing difficulties. The lower a person's level, the more they cling to their own interests. The higher a person's level, the more willing they are to let go of personal gain and share with others. And in return, they often gain more than just practical benefits. Lao Tzu once said, "Give life, but do not possess. Achieve success, but do not cling to it. To give effort without self-praise, to achieve merit without arrogance, that is the mark of true character." Exceptional talent often leads to pride, but profound wisdom lies in concealment. To succeed without boasting, to have accomplishments but choose to share them, only then does the path ahead become wide and open. Guy Guzi once said, "The way of the sages lies in concealment." Patriarch Bodhi also once reminded Wukong, "Fame comes from enduring daily hardship. Most failures happen in moments of pride." It turns out that vanity is merely a form of evil exposed, while humility holds goodness within. Excessive showing off is nothing more than a display of emptiness.